from, in this particular case, from the 0 line to the peak point. Do you guys see what I'm saying? Okay, do you want me to draw it again and sketch it out so you can see what I'm trying to say? So let's say if your 0 line is out here, okay, and your sine function is going like this, okay, then this height here, that height there is your amplitude. Notice that that height is also the same as that height there, okay? Right? Now, you've got to be careful that what I'm saying is that this is only if this is the zero of the graph, okay? In other words, this is the x-axis, right? So what you got to do is, first of all, here are the formal definitions. Here are the formal definitions in words for what an amplitude is. And there's an example there, and you need to give me the answer to that example. Arash, the answer to the example? Kevin? 3. Is everybody with Kevin on that? Yeah? Because if you look at this equation that you have, A is equal to -3, and the amplitude is the absolute value of A. So it's absolute value of -3, which is 3. Okay? Everybody understand the term amplitude now? Okay. Now, what happens if I'm kind of smart enough and give you a graph that looks like that, where it's not along the x-axis? Do you see what I mean by not along the x-axis? Okay. Remember in the previous graph, if I just go back there a minute. Okay, so if you look at whether it's the sine graph or the cosine graph, if I look at just the sine graph, the blue one, you can see that it's going around the x-axis. Okay, it's going around the x-axis, so it goes above the x-axis and below the x-axis. In that case, the amplitude is really easy to see. Okay, what happens if the graph is not like that, like in this example here? Like in this example here. Okay, yeah. And take the average of it? Yeah. Is everybody with a rush on that? It's giving you this formula right here. Because remember what the amplitude is, okay? It's let's see. I don't want that. Okay, and here's your x-axis, let's say. That's your x-axis. So your amplitude, remember, is the distance between, like, for example, this distance here or that distance there. So if you want to take this entire distance from there to there and take half of it, it'll give you the amplitude. Okay? Is everybody all right on that? Okay. Talk about the next concept, and that's period of a sine and a cosine function. If I can get this down. So, yeah, so the definition of period is the duration of one cycle. Okay, and what do I mean by duration of one cycle? Yeah, it'll be whatever the dimensions are on the x-axis, okay? So, say if I have a sine wave that looks like this, okay? It's not obviously drawn perfectly. My apologies for that. Let's say if this, oh, come on, you idiot. Okay? This distance from here to here is one period. Okay, that distance is one period. Because that's one cycle, and after that it just repeats itself over and over and over again. Okay? So if you look at the red curve, okay, let me just move this over here. If you look at the red curve, then the cycle goes from there all the way up like that up to here. Okay, that's one cycle. In the blue case, it goes from there. Okay, can you guys see the pointer as I'm moving it? Okay, it goes up like that all the way there. So which one's got a bigger period, the red one or the blue one? Sorry? Wait a minute. Yeah, so period is the duration from one end to the other. So the red has got a longer duration. Okay? I'm going to give you a couple of equations in a minute, but the period has got to do with whatever the number is in front of x here. Okay, so here, what is the number in front of x? 1. It's implied to be 1, and here we know it's 2. Okay? For the red one, you agreed that the period was longer, and if I were to talk about it in units of radians, what would you say it was? So you know that this is 0. How much is this going to be on the sign? This is 90 here. This is pi. This is 3 pi over 2. Yeah, you guys got to get used to speaking radian language, okay? And this one is 2 pi. So for the red one, the period is 2 pi. Okay? And for the blue one, the period is half of that, as you can see in the diagram, right? Okay, so then it's going to be pi. And I'm going to give you a couple of formulas right now. Actually, just one formula to give you how you calculate the period. So right there is your formula, okay? If you've got two kind of graphs, whether it be sine or cosine, then the period is given by this formula here. Okay, this one here. That's the period. Okay, and the reason why I give absolute value of b is that b could be negative. For example, this could be minus 2x. And what that minus sign is going to do is it's going to shift it, reflect it, okay, along the y-axis, okay, which we're going to do when you come back from the break. Okay, when you come back from break. So everybody get ideas of amplitude and period, right? Okay, so you should be able to calculate that given either a graph or an equation, either way. Okay?